Are you ready?
This is a discussion podcast about wrestling. This session was recorded March 18th, 2018.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Flip the Mic podcast, a wrestling podcast with myself, MVL baby, and the Jonin Monkey. Today our topics are the Elimination Chamber recap, Fastlane, which rode straight by us, recap, and Wrestlemania predictions.
Indeed. By the way, I'm part-time, so I might not make it for this podcast, but anyway.
He'll show up when he wants to.
Indeed.
Or at least that's what they want you to think. And today, for my show-stopping promos, I brought something from The Ultimate Warrior, although I will not be screaming it down the microphone.
I was going to say.
If anything, it sounds weirder when you just say it. So, here it is. This is the brainwaves in my mind are of an unknown frequency promo from The Ultimate Warrior. I can smell it. It's in the air. The cosmic powers of Mars, the clouds of Jupiter, the rings of Saturn, the boiling heat of Mercury. Something's gonna happen. Warriors, I can feel it. Warriors, I need no earthquake insurance. I need no health insurance. I need no life insurance. For the warriors all know, the life that flows in this body is not that of normals. The marrow in these bones is of a different composition. The blood in these veins is a different consistency. The muscles that the warriors attract themselves to is of a different structure. The brainwaves in my mind that the warriors speak to is of an unknown frequency. Not even you, Dino Bravo, not even you, Jimmy Hart, not even the natural disaster can stop me as I take the warriors and fulfill the ultimate destiny. So, yeah, the Ultimate Warrior said crazy things in a lot of his promos, and that's just an example of the kind of out there stuff he says. And I'm not talking about the out there stuff he said outside of the ring.
Yes. Which were slightly less pleasant, but honestly, hearing you read it in that tone, it honestly sounds like one of those overly dramatic voiceovers you'd get in a student art film.
Yeah, I mean, it also says, because I do a lot of pickup videos, it sounds like kind of the blurb on the back of a game. Where it's like, the Ultimate Warrior, and this is his story.
I mean, he did write a comic once.
That's true.
It would be really weird to see him dueling Broken Matt Hardy if we ever had a time machine.
Yeah, it'll definitely be out there. They've had a lot of guests on their videos before. They've had the Express, which rock and rolls, and people like that before. And with that said, they have the Ultimate Deletion coming up, I believe, on Monday.
That is true.
So that'll be interesting to see.
That is the slightly frustrating thing that we've had to record this the day before it happens, but well, what can you do?
I predict that Matt Hardy will come out on top.
Here's hoping.
I mean, really, Bray Wyatt should come out on top on the whole rivalry as a whole. But I think for the Ultimate Deletion, it should probably be Matt Hardy. But then I had spoke about them potentially being a tag team, but then Braun Strowman has thrown a spanner into the works of all of that.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that on the WrestleMania predictions, because it's a mess.
Indeed. I mean, honestly, all I'll say about that match is I don't care who wins, just as long as something different happens. That it's not just them continuously repeating the same monologues over and over again.
I will say on the subject of Braun Strowman, he has been deliberately kept kind of in flux on the WrestleMania card.
Indeed, and we will explain why when we get to it. But first, we have to recap both Elimination Chamber and Fastlane, which was so fast we had no time to predict it.
Exactly, it rode right past us, with Eva Marie showing the checkered flags, which is actually what you use to finish the race and not start it.
I think it does both, but anyway.
So, Elimination Chamber. There was a pre-show match, the Moose Taraj, with Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, versus the Balor Club, or just the club, or whatever you want to call it, the poor man's Bullet Club.
I like to call them the poor guys who are being so underused and are not being used for anything apart from occasionally screaming nerds at people. But
yeah, so, I mean, they came in with a lot of hype straight onto the main show, which they should have done, but they haven't really excelled since then. Not necessarily their own fault, booking and all of that, but because of that, I'm not excited about this match at all. Despite the fact you have, two members of the Bullet Club, and you've got Bo Dallas, who is, former NXT champion, who's great in NXT, and then you've got Curtis Axel, his lineage and everything. I've got written down no thoughts whatsoever.
Yeah, Bo Dallas and Carl Anderson won, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the club wins as babyfaces, and then the Revival taunt both teams at the end.
Yeah, honestly, if anything, this match has proved that if Vince McMahon or whoever the writers are for the show don't get you, you're doomed, basically, on the WWE.
We've heard about wrestlers getting punished before, and it's unfortunate. I mean, not everyone could be at the top, but you essentially have a jobbers match here, and these guys will just be putting over people later on. The tag division, and we'll talk about it later, is just dire on Raw, that is. SmackDown, not so much, but
yeah.
There's probably going to be a superstar shake-up after Mania, so they will work on that.
Yeah, it desperately needs to happen.
The first match on the actual pay-per-view was the Women's Elimination Chamber, which I was surprised with. I thought that would be the main event. They actually saved that for the Men's Elimination Chamber. And because we all kind of knew what the outcome of the Men's Elimination Chamber would be, I expected it to be first match so that everyone could sort of recover from that. With that said, the Women's Elimination Chamber was better, as it was on the Royal Rumble. I got a brief play-by-play written down for this match, with the participants being Bayley, Mandy Rose, Mickie James, Sasha Banks, and Sonya Deville. You had kind of like three teams working with what should have been Bayley and Sasha Banks, and then you had the champion Alexa Bliss, who I forgot to mention at the top of the participants. You had Alexa Bliss with Mickie James, who have just randomly become friends again because Alexa Bliss needs a lackey. And then you have Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville of Absolution, who are doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, without Paige, they've kind of lost all momentum.
Exactly. It feels like they don't want to pull the trigger on them. It's weird enough that, like, the Riot Squad aren't doing anything on SmackDown, but Absolution are just not doing anything on Raw. You had Bayley and Sonya start the match. Mandy Rose was in next for the 2-on-1 advantage, and then Sasha comes in to even the odds. Rose was eliminated by Sasha, and then Mickie comes in hot, and Mickie climbs the chamber. She dives off and pins Sonya. Sasha and Bayley double team Mickie and take her out, and then Alexa Bliss comes in. Sasha and Bayley team up against her. They climb around because Bliss retreats. Then Sasha turns on Bayley, which we all knew was going to happen. I mean, let's face it, that was definitely going to happen.
Yeah, they've been teasing that for a while. Long story short, Alexa Bliss retains as the champion, and then does a promo about crushing all of your dreams, basically.
Yeah, Bliss does a really good swerved promo. Generally thought it was a face promo at the start, and they might have been turning her, because I do foresee Asuka being a heel at some point down the line.
Well, they're not exactly portraying her as face either. She's kind of like a middle-of-the-road, kind of arrogant character at the moment. It's literally the only reason she appears face is because there are people even more arrogant in the ring, basically. Like, she's only face when compared to Alexa Bliss. So yeah, I guess this is giving the Raw Women's Champion credibility by showing that, yes, when she's cornered, she can wrestle. And like you said, it was a good heel promo at the end of it. I just kind of wish she did this more often, as in actually defending the belt.
Yeah, it was a great match, and it was one of those kind of proving ground moments. I was very worried coming into it that they were going to take the title off of her and put it towards a Sasha Banks or potentially a Bayley, one of the more marketable names going in. But Alexa Bliss has been solid in WWE, so it's very good to see them keeping the title with her and not just doing a swerve at the last moment.
Yeah, because here's the thing, I wouldn't mind Alexa Bliss as champion too much. It's just that, like I said last time, it's the fact that they've just been completely ignoring the fact that she's the champion and focusing all of the stories on Nia Jax, Bayley, or Sasha Banks.
Yes, Bayley and Sasha Banks have been having this on and off rivalry, really. It does seem, and we're going to come to this, that they might not even have a one-on-one match at Mania to be the result of this rivalry anyway.
Oh, God, really?
So they may be lumped in to a certain matchup that will be taking place.
We'll talk about that in a moment. Right now, the next match on the card is Cesaro and Sheamus versus Titus Worldwide, aka Apollo Crews and Titus O'Neil.
Worldwide! Yeah, Titus Worldwide versus The Bar. Fight starts before the bell, and then The Bar win. Yep.
Yeah, pretty simple.
I mean, not that I didn't think that Titus Worldwide stood a chance, but they're just not going anywhere. And it's a real shame because Apollo, with his now shortened name, is an amazing superstar. The team is great despite being lumped with Dana Brooke for no apparent reason.
It was one of those things where Titus Worldwide was a great idea, but then WWE got bored and they haven't done anything with them since.
Exactly. It does seem like The Bar was just pushing through them on their way to Mania with seemingly unknown opponents, but we will get into that.
And then next up, Asuka versus Nia Jax. Gee, can Nia Jax break the streak? No.
Exactly. So we all kind of knew that Nia Jax was not going to be taking the streak away from Asuka before Mania. I'm not even sure Asuka's going to be losing her streak anytime soon. I'm hoping for a heel run with her. Have her as the champion that kind of avoids defending. Even though she's, a very powerful character, she could easily play the foreign heel. That way she doesn't need to do that many promos. That's a character that is often lumped onto a character from an outside of US descent. And it tends to work well.
Yeah, I mean, this has also led into some great story promos of Nia Jax. I mean, it is also a great heel moment for Alexa Bliss, because it didn't happen in the actual pay-per-view, but it happened on day straight afterwards, where Alexa Bliss goes up to Nia Jax supposedly to comfort her, but it's one of those very subtle mistakes, like, oh, Nia Jax, I'm so sorry that you failed to defeat Asuka. I'm so sorry that you've now lost your chance to get into WrestleMania and you've proven yourself a failure. And it must make you feel so bad, like the time when all the kids laughed at you because of your weight,
I mean, it's just like, who would laugh at Nia Jax? She is massive.
Yeah.
And I mean, if someone's a big person, you don't find the biggest person and go ha ha ha,
yeah,
and laugh at their face. They're gonna kill you.
Yeah, this would be like you would have to be the most dedicated boy to go up to, like, this is the equivalent of going up to Braun Strowman, making fun of him, and as he's about to break you in half, you're thinking, totally worth it.
The match itself was very competitive. It began with Nia Jax stepping on the mask, and then Nia showed her strength. The big spots included Nia going for a powerbomb by Asuka, turning it into an armbar, I think. And then Nia attacks after the match, breaking a barricade, just to kind of give us some semblance of power after the match, but really, you can't think too much for Nia's credibility after she loses to Asuka twice. And that's twice on the main show. It might be 3 times on the main show, but she's, to my knowledge, lost once or twice to her on NXT as well.
Yeah, I mean, it also doesn't help the fact that, you can correct me on this, on whether it was the Elimination Chamber match or match in the Raw straight after, but there is one moment when Asuka had the armbar locked, and Nia Jax, an impressive feat of strength, managed to rise to her feet and was essentially carrying her around trying to break the hold. I was also remembering what you said about she doesn't seem to remember that you can just touch the ropes to break it, because there was a moment where she actually walked through the corner and started trying to pound her on the post. It's like, look, girl, just touch the ropes, you're right there.
Exactly, and when stuff like that happens, when she is like hitting her in the corner, I think at one point she steadies herself on the ropes to stay up, and the ref should break it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the one downside of an otherwise cool match. So.
The ref too scared of Asuka.
Yeah, I guess so.
Next up, we have Woken Matt Hardy, definitely not broken Matt Hardy, versus Bray Wyatt, the eater of terrestrial entities. The match itself was a bit tarnished by antics involving a beach ball.
Of course it was.
But Matt Hardy vanished when Bray came out. just completely disappeared, and then from the Titantron called Bray Wyatt obsolete in the same manner he would obsolete Jeff Hardy back in TNA. The crowd was crazy because of the beach ball. Kind of ruined the match. I mean, Matt Hardy tried to own it. He tried to sort of, take the crowd wave that was going on. I imagine they were playing around with the beach ball, and then someone from security got a hold of it, and then they started acting up after that. What's lost in all of this is Matt Hardy got a win on a pay-per-view against Bray Wyatt.
Yeah. I mean, it is annoying when crowds do that. I mean, I remember at SummerSlam, Cesaro had to walk in there and rip up the beach ball as well, just to get the crowd to focus.
Oh yeah, credit to him for doing that as well.
Yeah.
Beach balls are banned from WWE live events. I mean, I've said before, there's a lot of stuff you're not allowed to bring in. You're not allowed to bring in rucksacks and things like that. You're not allowed to bring in any recording devices. But beach balls are among the banned items. I've seen Royal Rumble matches in recent memory completely ruined by crowd reaction. And it's just like, if you want to try and take over the show, just bear in mind, people are watching at home. Like, a lot more people are watching at home. And it kind of ruins the event.
Yeah, I can understand getting excited and chanting at stuff that's going on in the match. Stuff like that also adds a bit of energy to your event, but when you're chanting about something else completely, like, just to take a random example, CM Punk, or that one promo when someone was trying to propose to their girlfriend doing a Paul Heyman promo, like, of all the places to propose, why that?
Yeah, the most recent one is Rusev Day. I'm pretty sure these chants are not helping out Rusev. He's at the bottom of the card, pretty much.
Yeah.
And chanting Rusev Day during a woman's match is just disrespectful, among other things. We talked about creative holding people down. Ty Dillinger is allegedly not being used because of the 10 chants. The WWE, or Vince McMahon in particular, hates them chanting 10 when the ring count out is going on. So he's just not on TV.
Fair enough. But yeah, long story short, the Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt feud is continuing, and like we said, this is leading to the ultimate deletion match at the Harvey compound, which...
You know what's funny about that? Is that Bray Wyatt called it the final deletion in his promo.
Oh dear.
Slip of the tongue there.
But yeah, hopefully if Matt Hardy's giving creative direction over that, then yeah, that will at the very least be a good match and hopefully shake things up a bit.
Well, what I can tell you is that Jerry Borash, who was signed by WWE recently, was sent to be involved in the filming process.
That was awesome.
So that's very helpful. He was involved in the final deletion and all of those videos on TNA. So you've got a bit of the TNA production crew going on.
Hooray!
They've introduced all of the characters. We have Senor Benjamin, Queen Rebecca, and King Maxwell, and the other child who I don't remember his name.
It's good to see them all again, even though I'm not 100% sure how many appearances they'll get in WWE, but it will still be cool to see.
I think it's really unusual because, they're not contracted or anything. It's just Matt Hardy. So it's interesting to see the extended universe. I'm not sure if this canonizes what happened in TNA in WWE, because they like to pretend what happened outside of WWE is not real. But we did see the many gravestones in the Hardy compound of the former wrestlers that were buried.
Well,
so cool.
I'm sure WWE can rework it that, this is just a complete introduction to his family, and those gravestones are some jobbers that no one needs to look into.
Well, the man of 3 H's will be proud of how they buried that young talent.
Indeed. Also, I will say credit where it's due to in the section afterwards with Kurt Angle, the referee, that actually managed to get some laughs out the crowd with Kurt assigning the referee to the match, and the referee just staring and going, did I do something wrong?
Yeah, when the referee was assigned on Raw, he really seemed like, man, I'm stepping into a volcano here. Okay. That has been filmed. It's going to take place on Raw coming up tomorrow from when we're recording this.
Yeah, but the reason why it's not happening at WrestleMania is that they reached the conclusion that having a taped section in a big live event is probably going to bore the crowd, which, yeah, I can totally see. Well,
I would rather have that than have Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt have like an average match out there.
That is true.
What they could have done, what they did before in some TNA events, is start it, and I think they did this with a House of Horrors with Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton, where they have half of it as a video package, and then they come out to the ring for the other half.
That would make sense.
The next thing that happened is not a match. That would be the Ronda Rousey contract signing.
Yes.
Which I thought would go real bad because of, the other superstars' opinions on Ronda Rousey. But fortunately, that didn't transfer to the crowd. Ronda got a really good pop when she came out. And yeah, it was exactly as we thought. It was used to pit Ronda and Kurt against Hunter and Stephanie.
Indeed. They weren't just pulling this out of thin air. They did remember the last WrestleMania Ronda was signed up for, and
WrestleMania 31, even though Kurt initially called it WrestleMania 21, which was really funny. They cut that out. Yeah, they said that Stephanie and Hunter wanted to essentially make Ronda their beach because of what they did at WrestleMania 31, and this was their way of getting back at her. They took Kurt out the ring, and then he laid it all on the table with his speech, and talk about laying it on the table. Hunter gets put through a table.
Indeed, yes.
That was awesome.
And then Stephanie McMahon tries to attack her from behind, which led to the crowd chanting, "You fucked up, you fucked up." And,
Stephanie slapped her and then ran away.
Yeah.
Contract is signed and dropped on Triple H. They had a further altercation on Raw, which got more physical, which involved ankle lock on Triple H from Kurt Angle. This was after Kurt Angle got sucker punched the week before on Raw, where he tried to, make amends. And
all of this is leading into a WrestleMania match, which, well, we could say for the next section, but we might as well talk about it now, because it's a very simple feud. It's a tag team match between Triple H and Stephanie McMahon versus Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey, and the reason this happens is, admittedly, something that is kind of awkward in terms of logic, is that Ronda Rousey's contract states that she can fight anyone on the roster that isn't a champion. She chooses Stephanie McMahon, who both she and Triple H, the owners of the company, were refusing to do, but then Kurt comes out and reveals, well, actually, Stephanie is also one of the members of the active roster, somehow. So, so
even though our last match was like SummerSlam.
Yeah. So, apparently, she and Triple H have to take part in this match and cannot refuse it or rework the contract at any point. But, yeah, it should be a fun match overall. But one thing I will say for the WrestleMania section is where it goes after that.
Ronda was scheduled for every single Raw leading up to WrestleMania. That didn't play out, but apparently that was just a marketing error. She couldn't make the last Raw because of medical tests. But yeah, I do see her being sparsely used after WrestleMania.
It would make sense given her schedule. It's more... Okay, I might as well say it now. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to replicate the whole Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon thing. And they're doing pretty well so far. The main thing people have pointed out is, A, that feud went on for a long time. It wasn't just building up to one pay-per-view, even if it is the biggest one of the year. And B, there was also the fact that Vince McMahon got seriously humiliated in multiple ways. And I don't know if... she's been doing well so far, but I don't know how long Stephanie McMahon would allow that to keep going.
It's all bringing a wider appeal to this event, with Ronda being a UFC star. It puts a lot more focus on, and then it puts a lot more focus on Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, which is what they want. So, in that sense, it'll be successful. Who will be successful in the match? I think Kurt Angle and Ronda will win when it comes down to it. We will speak about that on the WrestleMania predictions, and then we will not see Ronda Rousey or Kurt Angle for quite a while.
But yeah, the last match on the card of the Elimination Chamber is the Elimination Chamber.
Yes, the men's Elimination Chamber match with, and this time I will include all 6 participants, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, Elias, Finn Balor, John Cena, Seth Rollins and The Miz. There are 7 people in this match because it's the first time they've had 7 in Elimination Chamber.
Indeed.
Very crazy match. We kind of knew how this would play out.
Yeah, I think the one question mark was how they were going to deal with Braun Strowman, because they still tried to keep him strong, but at the same time, if Roman's going to face Brock Lesnar, he had to win this match, basically.
Oh yes, Braun Strowman looked incredibly strong on this match. I've written down a fair play-by-play of it, if I can read my notes. Balor, Rollins and The Miz start the match. Cena is next in, then Reigns. Naturally, Braun is next as Elias won a match to make him the last. Miz runs from Braun, who wrecks everybody. Miz climbs away, but Braun scales after him and then throws him down. Braun then eliminates The Miz. Elias then enters and stays in a pod to hide. Everyone gangs on Strowman and they shield bomb him. Everyone uses their finishing moves on Braun, and then with him down, Elias finally enters. When Strowman gets back in, he eliminates Elias in a timely fashion. Everyone gets on Strowman again, but then he takes out Cena from the match. Balor gets close to taking out Strowman, then is about to remove Roman when Braun eliminates Balor. And then you have kind of Shield versus Strowman moment. Rollins turns on Reigns, big frog splash from the top. Braun kicks out because Braun is a machine, and then Braun eliminates Rollins. Braun breaks a pod, and then Roman hits him with Superman punch and then spears him for the win. Strowman, as always, attacks him after the match.
Have you lost a match? Don't worry, just get up and start punching people. That's a way to prove that you're still the stronger guy.
If anything, the thing that kind of helps Braun Strowman not look weak here is he eliminated everyone else in the match.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm looking at the notes on Wikipedia here. It's basically, the list just goes, Braun Strowman running power slam, Braun Strowman power slam, Braun Strowman power slam, Braun Strowman power slam, Braun Strowman power slam, Roman Reigns spear.
Yes. We all knew Roman Reigns was going to win that match, no surprise there. Bit of a bitter taste at the end of the pay-per-view, but they've been working really well recently to kind of change fan opinions on Roman Reigns. But we will get into that when we come to the WrestleMania predictions, because they haven't done it necessarily with Roman Reigns himself. But a very smart way of doing it.
Yeah. But first we better get to Fastlane, because like we said, that was a pay-per-view that zipped by us, and the first match is Breezango, Fandango and Tyler Breeze, and Ty Dillinger against Mojo Rawley, Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin.
Yes, this was a pre-show match for the pay-per-view Fastlane. That's a SmackDown pay-per-view before they are going to combine the pay-per-views of Raw and SmackDown together, which I think is going to happen after WrestleMania. Dual band pay-per-views, it's an interesting idea. We'll see if it works out. It's going to mean less spots on the card for undercard people like Breezango, Ty Dillinger, Mojo Rawley, and American Alpha 2.0. They had a 6-man tag team match. It began with a kind of backstage segment where Breezango almost adopted Ty Dillinger as a member of the Fashion Police, and they kind of ran down Mojo Rawley and American Alpha 2.0. It led to a match, and funnily enough, Breezango and Ty Dillinger won. I did not watch the match itself because I caught it on the show itself as it started, so I didn't catch the pre-show. But it does surprise me that Breezango and Ty Dillinger defeat Mojo Rawley, who is a former Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale winner, and American Alpha 2.0, who were just previously in the running for the tag titles.
You could say
Puzzling booking there.
Yeah, I guess you could say he didn't live up to the hype.
Nope, I'm not going there.
I'm sorry, I'll show myself out.
So that was the pre-show. I have really no thoughts other than I'm a bit surprised because it really doesn't matter. They're both tag teams that are really low down on the card. Like I said, who is Ty Dillinger? Does he still work there? and Mojo Rawley. Mojo Rawley just is not, as you say, living up to the hype. No idea what they're going to do with him moving forward. He definitely needed to go heel, but...
Yeah. And next up, we have Shinsuke Nakamura versus Rusev, which honestly was only worth it for the promo before this match where Shinsuke Nakamura sang and actually sounded a lot like Aiden English.
Yeah, you had dueling crowd chants. with the Rusev Day and Nakamura. But obviously Rusev was not going to win this match. Nakamura's headed to WrestleMania. There's no way Rusev is taking a win off him on this pay-per-view.
Yeah, this match was purely for the comedy. The only reason it happened was because Shinsuke Nakamura fought Aiden English and kneed him in the throat, and Rusev was basically fighting him because, how dare you damage this man's beautiful voice?
Yeah, Rusev very appreciative of the singing from Aiden English, particularly on his Rusev Day chorus. Shinsuke needed to be on the pay-per-view so people could see him. Rusev is a technically sound opponent. Yeah, Shinsuke needs to go over because he's going to Mania.
Yeah.
Next up is Randy Orton versus Bobby Roode for the United States Championship. Exactly.
It's not that either of these performers are bad or that I didn't want to see them fight. It was more that the build-up to the US title clashes after the tournament for it have been horrendous. Like, they have been dueling for the longest time over, I kid you not, SmackDown top 10 lists. That is a legitimate plot point. I mean,
you had probably the weakest top 10 list I've ever seen, delivered on a kind of YouTube-style inspired bit from Daniel Bryan. This is after Daniel Bryan had a studio backdrop and still had a camera handheld for some reason, even though he could have used a studio camera. Yeah, they gave a top 10 list, and that's been the feud. You've had Jinder Mahal thrown in there, so Jinder was watching out the back. It was a very physical matchup, slow-paced and methodical. But with that, because the match was quite slow, I did catch Byron Saxton chants during it.
Oh, God's sake.
Byron was hilarious on this match. They had, I believe it was a superplex, and Byron wanted to see it again. So he said, let's see that again. And then he said, directly to the back of the truck, show me that again, Kevin. like completely breaking out of it. Like, we can all hear you, Byron. He's talking straight to the back of the truck. For the superplex highlight, which was weird.
Yeah, I think in other moments, which I can't tell if it's Randy Orton breaking the script or the writers trying to save themselves, but occasionally Randy Orton's been over saying, I don't care about the top 10 list, I just haven't won the US title, and I want to win the US title. But then people keep going back going, no, it's about the top 10 list, you really care about it. Like, I'm sorry, I cannot believe this is a plot point that people are actually fighting over a top 10 list. Like, what the hell?
What does matter is after Orton catches Roode with a mid-air RKO, he gets the US title for the first time, thus making him a Grand Slam champion. And then after the match, Jinder comes out and attacks Orton, and then Roode DDTs him because apparently that makes Roode not look terrible. Roode has a rematch clause, which will probably happen at Mania. Jinder Mahal since has beaten both of them. It's probably his road to WrestleMania. It's kind of a forgettable rivalry at this point, especially as, you know, Roode, I'll say he's no spring chicken, but Roode is a great superstar, and if you want to do stuff with him, you can't have the guy lose.
Yeah.
He's got a great gimmick. It's just Bobby Roode but turned up to 11. If you want to build up these guys, you just can't have them lose all the time.
Or just get involved in weak, lackluster feuds. I mean, literally the main feuds he was involved in was that answer to Dolph Ziggler, who hated entrances and just came in with the flashiest FU entrance ever. And then it's like they don't know what to do with him afterwards.
Yeah, it's crazy, especially after Dolph Ziggler has come back with this big money contract. You know, big money for Dolph Ziggler, not, you know, Brock Lesnar money.
Yeah.
But, definitely big money for mid-card.
Remember a year ago when people said SmackDown was the best WWE show for its well-crafted stories? Remember that?
SmackDown is definitely doing badly on the ratings, and the talent knows it. They're quoted as knowing it's a bad show right now.
Yeah. Well, it's unsurprising given what they have to work with. But moving on, the next match is a well-crafted feud that was definitely not thrown in at the last minute. Natalya and Carmella versus Becky Lynch and Naomi.
Yeah, there was a little backstage segment from one of the matches on SmackDown where Naomi was taunting Natalya, saying that Becky Lynch could beat Carmella. It just eventually came into a tag match, which is what you ended up having. My main comments is Becky's outfit looked like something from Glow. It looked like an 80s kind of leotard with a fire pattern singlet. It's kind of strange, different look. I dig it, but yeah, Carmella and Natalya win, as they should do. Carmella has the Money in the Bank briefcase. Naomi is she's got a great entrance. She comes out there. They always want to use her. Credit to her. She's a great superstar. Another great superstar is Becky Lynch, who is very underrated at the moment. She was one of the first draft picks for SmackDown, I think, where she came in as champion and then just slid down the card.
Yeah, he's one of those wrestlers which I really like and has a lot of potential, but I think the last big thing she's done is give that really good face promo to Daniel Bryan after Carmella cheated to win the Women's Money in the Bank match.
Moving swiftly on. You have the Usos versus the New Day for the tag titles. This was a very interesting match. It was Xavier and Kofi for the New Day. I always feel it's wrong not to use Big E. It feels like a mistake. If you're picking your fighting characters for your 2v2 fighting game, and you have the choice of someone who has got, the greater stats and strength, I feel like Big E is a must-have. I love Xavier Woods. He's amazing on Up, Up, Down, Down. His personality is great, but why wouldn't you put Big E in instead? Kofi Kingston is a million times champion, so he's definitely in. But yeah, I would put Big E in.
I think I know the reason why, if this is going the way I think it's going to go.
So, there was a lot of move theft in this match, and then it was a great match until the Bludgeon Brothers came out.
Yeah, they came in, wrecked everyone, and as a result, the match was a no contest.
Yep, I have on my notes written down, they killed everyone. The biggest move was they powerbombed Xavier Woods onto the ring steps.
Ooh.
And on the SmackDown afterwards, there was only one Uso, and there was Big E.
They
teamed up to try and face the Bludgeon Brothers. Were taken out yet again. So the Bludgeon Brothers are bludgeoning. They finally used their hammers, which one of the commentators called mallets. It's that they're huge hammers, guys. So those things have got to be made of foam or something. They're very easily usable.
Yeah.
It was disappointing not to see them use them. But yeah, they killed everyone. And they killed them again on SmackDown. So they're coming after the titles. You have to imagine New Day still has a call for the titles because they didn't lose that match. I'm wondering where that's going to go. The Bludgeon Brothers are going to want to get the titles at Mania.
Yeah. I have a theory about that, but I'll save that for the predictions. Because this wasn't the only match of a surprise twist ending. The next match, Charlotte Flair versus Ruby Riott.
I predict a riot. The Riot Squad comes out, but Naomi and Becky Lynch come out to counter them. The ref eventually ejects everyone from ringside. Charlotte wins with a figure eight after a Roman Reigns style spear. We all knew Charlotte was going to beat Ruby Riott.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
the Riot Squad aren't really doing anything.
Yeah, they're in the kind of same position as Absolution. I mean, all credit to them from the few clips I've seen, because I'll be honest, I've only watched handfuls of highlight clips from Fastlane, but yeah, for all credit from what I've seen, it looked like one of the better matches between them, but the thing is, like we've said many times, the SmackDown Women's Division has just been throw everyone in, and the Riot Squad are usually the best heel, so it's like, okay, throw all the Riot Squad in, now throw in all the faces we can find, including Charlotte, and there we go, Riot Squad lose, Riot Squad lose, Riot Squad lose, there we go. Yeah,
we'll come to this on our Mania predictions as well, but it's definitely the fact on Mania that since they only have one or two women's matches, they are definitely, let's put all of the women in the match, they can all say they're at WrestleMania, nobody gets upset.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will give them credit was that in the SmackDown before this, they added a little retcon, which, it is obviously last minute, but I do kind of like they gave some motive that Ruby Riott claims that she set up the Riot Squad in order to take out Charlotte, which, yeah, it's kind of weak, but it's better than no reason at all, which is what they had previously.
Yep, or we're all here for Paige.
Yeah.
My aspiration as a WWE superstar is to be Paige's lackey.
Indeed. And now she's gone.
She's still alive. She's not gone.
See, well, yes.
She'll probably never wrestle again.
Yes.
The interesting thing about this match happened after the match, and this blew up my WrestleMania predictions for the women's division, and that's that Asuka came out to challenge Charlotte. Got a good amount of pointing at that WrestleMania sign in there.
Oh yes.
And when you think about it, this makes sense because this allows Alexa Bliss to move on to a rivalry that we'll speak about that has actually been built up a little bit, so it makes more sense. And in Asuka's words, to be the woman, you've got to beat the woman.
Indeed. Plus, it also makes for a much better sounding title on the card. The Queen versus the Empress.
And you feel a lot more that Charlotte has a lot more chance to take down Asuka and take down that streak because of her pedigree. Previously, I didn't really think, unless Alexa had Nia Jax and Mickie James triple teaming in some sort of no holds barred match where they could do that there was any way that they could beat Asuka. As Asuka said before, she's already beaten Alexa Bliss, so she wants the greater challenge.
Indeed, yes. This leads us into our main event, the six-pack challenge for the WWE Championship. AJ Styles, the champion, goes up against Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, Baron Corbin, and John Cena.
Yes, John Cena had himself added to the match because the humble John Cena went to every show, Raw and SmackDown, every week saying, I need a Road to Mania. I'm not begging, but I'm kind of begging. And, he's been a champion a million times before. Is he 16-time champion? Yeah.
He's 16-time champion.
16-time champion. So he's definitely able to get in this match. There's one more and he would have broken the record.
Yeah, that's 17. The other thing. Like, I'm definitely not begging. I'm definitely not thinking about this, but if I did get it, I would break that record. So
yeah. He went as far... He got into the match by beating AJ Styles in one-on-one, which I thought was a mistake. But, AJ Styles has had, I think, one win against John Cena, and then I think this puts John Cena's wins against him to something like 3. So that's an old saying that if you want to get one win against John Cena, you want to put you over, he's got to beat you like 3 or so times afterwards.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a shame. And then he said that if he wins the six-pack challenge, he wants AJ Styles to use his rematch clause at WrestleMania to make it a three-way between himself, AJ Styles, and Shinsuke Nakamura, because he just wants to kind of insert himself into that dream match.
Yeah, and also saying it on Raw so AJ Styles could interrupt him.
Yes.
But then AJ did a promo the day after on SmackDown, which was basically, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not.
So, after failing to procure himself a championship in the Elimination Chamber, how does John Cena do in the six-pack challenge? The first odd thing about this match is Shane comes out and sits at ringside.
Well, it's whole part of the whole Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn angle, which I'll get into because that's a whole other rant.
If Shane coming out doesn't bring alarm bells for KOs and Sami Zayn's chances on this match, what does? So the match starts off, Cena AAs everyone except Styles at the start of the match. Cena then goes one-on-one with Styles for a little while, and then 4 angry men come back for revenge on Cena. They all attack him, and then Styles holds the ring for a little while. Later there's a near fall with a Styles clash. I get confused at this point in the match because nobody just grabs a chair. It's a six-pack challenge, there's no rules. So you've gone this far and everyone's seemingly not grabbed a weapon. Corbin and Ziggler go through glass outside.
Ooh.
This is crazy. And then Cena AA Styles through a table, effectively taking him out of the match, the announce table. Sami then lays down for Kevin Owens, as he said he would do. But then he quickly goes for a roll-up. Doesn't work out for him, and they fight. For some reason, Sami then argues with Shane. For no particular reason.
Because he's there, I guess?
Yeah, he just because he's there. He dodges a super kick from Kevin Owens that hits Shane McMahon in the face. Oh, what a mistake! Oh no! Then Kevin Owens is about to win with a pop-up powerbomb, and Shane pulls out the ref. The ref, for some reason, doesn't eject Shane from ringside. He just lets him stay there.
Yeah, it happened on Lucha Underground as well, and I really hate it when that happens. It's like, oh, well, he's pulled out the ref. That means no one can stop the match. No, you attack the referee. That should just end the match right there. You know?
I mean, there's no rules in this match, but Shane could have been ejected from ringside. Whilst Kevin Owens is in shock, he gets a haluva kick from Sami Zayn. Pinned, gonna be the 1-2-3. And yet, Shane once again interjects himself in the title match and pulls out Sami Zayn. Corbin finally is smart enough to use a weapon. He uses the ring steps. The ref should have ejected Shane by now, but hasn't. Cena gets the steps from Corbin and then AAs onto the steps. After he AAs him onto the steps, he then pins him on the steps, which the ref, for some reason, counts like an idiot. It's not a hardcore match. You cannot pin someone on the steps. That I just did not understand.
Maybe the ref got concussed and was a bit confused after Shane McMahon pulled him out.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a hardcore match, ref. You can't pin him on the steps, just like you can't pin him outside. It's a six-pack challenge, there's no rules, but it's not force count anywhere. And then Cena AA's Ziggler, and then KO powerbombs Cena, and then Styles with a phenomenal forearm to Kevin Owens for the win.
That just sounds confusing, to be honest.
I mean, the whole match was confusing, but there were 6 superstars in the ring. So, what do you expect?
True.
Loads of fast action at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of figured AJ Styles was going to retain because WWE Universe would riot if they interrupted that dream match.
Exactly, and AA needs to come into Mania's champion this time around. You don't know how many years he's got left in the WWE. It's good for, especially if you want to have that great run, that great WWE run, which he is having. He's on top.
Yeah.
Coming into Mania as champion really does it. And you have, at the end of the match, Shane is just walking away, and he just looks at Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn as he walks out. I mean, Shane pretty much destroyed the match. We'll get on to what he was playing at, or where that might evolve to when we come to our WrestleMania predictions.
Yeah, that whole storyline's are getting to be a bit of a mess now. But yeah, I will echo what you said. AJ Styles is having a great run. He's one of the best things about SmackDown right now. He's just that classic babyface heel who is just... classic babyface champion is what I'm saying. I don't know how you could be a classic babyface heel. That would be... That's like a contradiction.
I'm so out of it, that slipped me by.
This entire thing has about as much force as a SmackDown storyline. But yeah, it is. AJ Styles is a great babyface champion, and I'm looking forward to that dream match. But yeah, that's Elimination Chamber and Fastlane.
I mean, to quote Booker T, it's going to be good.
Indeed. I'd say of the two, the Elimination Chamber was there are storyline fallouts of both pay-per-views, but as we keep saying, we'll get to that with the WrestleMania predictions. But for now...
Calm down, dear. We'll get there.
But anyway... also, isn't there an NXT TakeOver that we have to predict as well? Or?
Yes, there will be NXT TakeOver New Orleans, which I'll insert in there just before WrestleMania.
Okay.
So, with our recaps over, we have predictions for WrestleMania. And just before WrestleMania, as always, for the big 4 shows, there is an NXT TakeOver. This time, NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And we have some big matches coming together here. Unfortunately, the tag division of NXT has been wrought with injuries. For the Undisputed Era, Bobby Fish, who is scheduled for New Orleans, is injured. He's got to have knee surgery. And for the British tag team of Mustache Mountain, Tyler Bates has also had a knee injury. So they've been replaced by an unlikely team. But going down the card, we have a match that I was very excited about, and that is for a new championship in NXT, the North American Championship. This joins the WWE UK Championship, which I believe is currently an NXT Championship, because there's meant to be a UK show coming, but when and if that'll happen, who knows? And you've got the Tag Championships and the Women's Championship, and the NXT, main championship. There's another championship also being added to the WWE universe, but we'll talk about that. Actually, we might as well talk about it now because it's an after Mania thing.
Yeah.
So something coming soon is the 205 Live tag titles.
Yeah, that was something they really needed, just to add another reason for the card to compete.
They've been building tag teams with Akira Tozawa and Hideo Itami, and the Lucha House Party, which is a stupid name, but that's the thing that's happening. So they're building up some tag teams for that. Confusing to me, because technically they could just all go for the Raw Tag Team Championships. There's no reason why they couldn't.
Well, they try to keep 205 Live as its own thing, I guess.
Yeah.
But in fairness, from what I saw, or the Lucha House Party versus Tozawa and Itami match was really, really good.
Yeah, Tozawa and Itami could really do with some gold around their waists. They're a great team, and it'll be interesting to see if they can commit to defending that title on a 1-hour show. That's my worry with this North American Championship. You're adding another title to NXT. So how many titles will be defended? You talk about the lesser championships in WWE, the Intercontinental and the US. How prestige are they? But then again, when you have like a Universal Championship that's never been defended, it's completely aloof. You kind of need these extra championships.
Yeah, I think it entirely depends on who they give it to, because the Intercontinental title didn't mean much for a while, but then, as much as I hate to admit it, The Miz got it and then made it a big thing.
I knew you'd have to admit that.
Yeah.
He is the title.
Yeah, I mean, Roman Reigns also had a pretty good run with it as well, but all credit to The Miz. Much as I'm not a big fan of his character, he was really good at getting himself over and making the Intercontinental title an actual thing.
Yes, even though it was kind of just a runner-up prize for him. So, for this ladder match for the NXT North American Championship, which I'm already excited about with just those words, ladder match and championship, we have Adam Cole, baby! EC3, not sure on his actual name if he's going to be Ethan Carter III, because if he is Ethan Carter, does that mean... Well, they've had Dixie Carter talk about Kurt Angle before, and they had her as... Impact Wrestling president, so it would be funny if he is actually still playing the nephew of Dixie Carter. He's coming in under the name of EC3. You've got Killian Dane from Sanity, Beast from Belfast, I believe is his name. You've got Lars Sullivan, who I thought disappeared with his push being kind of ended recently, but he's another big monster. It'll be interesting to see if Killian Dane or Lars Sullivan can even scale a ladder. They're big dudes. And then you have Ricochet, a.k.a. Prince Puma. I said he'll be in NXT. I said he'll get there one day. And he's there. And then you have the Velveteen Dream. Gosh, how could I even pick a winner for this?
I know.
I know who I want to win. And that's EC3. He's championship material, baby. And he'll wear it well. I feel like the person that needs it the most is Adam Cole. Because the Undisputed Era is going to be falling apart with Bobby Fish being gone. I'm not sure where that leaves them. It's very puzzling that Adam Cole is in this match because they know that Bobby Fish is injured. And you would have thought they would use the Freebird rule for the championship. I feel like they're probably going to take them out of the tag title match. But you'd think Adam Cole would be defending the tag titles.
Yeah.
They are a team. Ricochet is also a good candidate for the title. I don't think he needs it, though. His style is so fresh for NXT, and he's so exciting. He doesn't need to have gold around his waist.
That is true. He could be like the new Adam Black, just sort of building him up in some good matches and some good feuds. Although, I will say that in terms of who I would want to win this match, about not so much whether they deserve it, because I admit I haven't followed NXT as much as I should, but I would definitely like either the Velveteen Dream or Ricochet to win it.
It would be great to see those guys hold some gold. Whoever wins this match, it's a new championship. Middle tier championship for NXT is kind of unusual. I'm not sure they really need it, but it's cool. We'll see if it gets defended well in future, or if it just slips into obscurity. Next up, we have a triple threat tag team match for the NXT Tag Team Championship and the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Trophy. And if you haven't watched the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic thus far, this will spoil the final bracket for you. Added to the final bracket is Undisputed Era, because they will be defending their championship for their kind of shenanigans. My understanding is that the Authors of Pain and the unlikely team of Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne, who's the UK champion, had the final match, and the Undisputed Era came in and broke it up. Thus, Regal made it a triple threat tag team match for the NXT Championship. It was going to be a tag team championship opportunity for the winners, but now it will be straight up B for the championship in this triple threat tag team match. Bobby Fish is injured, so don't know what's going to happen there. Maybe he's going to stand on the tag rope and not get tagged in. Maybe that's how they'll deal with it. I don't know why they don't just put Adam Cole in his place. Authors of Pain, really devastating team. I thought they would have moved up by now. I definitely think they'll move up after Mania. Their former member, who looked like an action man when he was with them, Roderick Strong, teams with Pete Dunne in their unlikely alliance. Roderick Strong feuded for the United Kingdom Championship with Pete Dunne, and I wasn't really rooting for him because he's not British. He's not from around here, so so he shouldn't hold the UK Championship. But then they sort of built up a respect, and then they had a run-in with the Undisputed Era with Adam Cole, I think it was, said to Roderick Strong, "You know, I see you going for another UK Championship match because you never win anything round here." And Pete Dunne harked back, "That's kind of rich, Adam Cole." Which it is, because Adam Cole has been on a losing spree. Aside from the War Games match, I don't think he's won anything.
I mean, he even lost the Rumble.
Yes. So that leads us to this match. Again, it looks like a great match. I say that the Takeover is often much better than the WWE pay-per-view you see afterwards, but that's because they get a lot more time to rehearse and a lot more time to train for these matches than they would on the main roster.
It's almost like being live is not all it's cracked up to be. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this will be live as well, but they will have a lot more time to rehearse for it, which is why they get a lot more high spots in it. I predict these matches will be crazy. Next up, we have the NXT Women's Championship. Ember Moon, the champion, against Shayna Baszler. So Shayna Baszler, one of the 4 horsewomen, the real 4 horsewomen, not the WWE 4 horsewomen, has been coming after Ember Moon. She's injured a couple of people on the roster, Dakota Kai, who sort of came back for revenge, but you know, still looks a bit scared. She ran through Kairi Sane, and she really did injure Ember Moon quite a lot in the last match. Ember Moon is still wearing the tape, I think, because Kinesio tape fixes everything. Yeah, this will be their second encounter, at least on a pay-per-view. I think potentially Shayna will take it this time. I thought she'd take it last time, but Ember Moon retained. I can't see Shayna losing again. It'll ruin her credibility.
Yeah, it could go either way. I mean, it depends whether they want to keep building up Ember Moon as the underdog hero who still triumphs, or if they're gonna try and find a new face in the women's division to take over and aim for the championship. Kind of like what they did on Lucha Underground with Sexy Star, eventually moving over to the MAC in order to try and take down Johnny Mundo.
I foresee Ember losing and potentially getting moved up to the main roster. If they're going to move up Shayna, I think it might be a bit too early for Shayna, because she needs a bit more of an NXT run. Definitely her losing twice on NXT. I know they pretend NXT doesn't exist, but she'll come in with a pretty bad win-loss record if they move her up too quickly.
Yeah, plus I think she needs more time to develop her character, because at the moment she's kind of like the way they're playing her at least is kind of like a female Baron Corbin, so it might be a bit too similar, I think.
And next up we have, for the NXT Championship, the champion Andrade Cien Almas with Zelina Vega versus Aleister Black.
Yes, I did actually see the promo for this one, the contract signing. That was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, Candice LeRae came in to get revenge from Johnny Wrestling, who Andrade has removed from NXT by beating him in his last chance match. So Johnny Gargano is gone, much to the delight of Tommaso Ciampa, who I'm surprised doesn't have a match against Johnny Gargano, because they have still been rivaling, with Johnny Gargano attacking Tommaso Ciampa, coming in from the crowd with a mask. So I'm surprised that that's not a match on the card.
Maybe they're saving that for another time.
Maybe it'll just be like a brawl that comes up or something. Like a backstage brawl. That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
But they might not have time for it. Nevertheless, this looks like a great match. I've really warmed to Aleister Black, not to his character though, but he's great in the ring.
Yeah, he is a great ring performer, but I also still like Zelina Vega not putting up with any of Aleister Black's crap, really.
Yeah, Zelina Vega is a very strong character, so Aleister Black, I thought, kind of being very disrespectful, sort of sitting down cross-legged to get to what he said to be her level, because she is very short. But this just proves how great a talker Zelina Vega is. She is fantastic. Probably the best woman wrestler in WWE at this time on promos, without a doubt. So that's really going to work well for her when she does move up with Andrade. Like I said, the problem I have with this is Andrade doesn't need Zelina Vega. She is enhancing him a lot. They've used it as a character point to turn around his career. But he can speak perfectly fine English.
Yeah.
And they've had him speak with an accent since then. We know he doesn't speak with an accent in his English. Or he doesn't have to, I should say.
Well, I think it's kind of like the Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman thing. Brock can obviously talk and has done multiple times. It's just that
Brock can only talk in a series of pterodactyl-like shrieks. He needs Paul Heyman there.
Yeah. So, I think they're probably doing this with Zelina Vega. I mean, it might actually be interesting that if they do move up, it would be kind of fun to see Zelina Vega maybe picking someone else to champion in that way. At least it would be really fun to have a figure like that in the women's division. I mean, even if she just shows up in the men's division and helps another struggling superstar get up, that would be awesome. And in fact, honestly, you know what? This is probably never going to happen, but my dream promo match would be Paul Heyman going up against Zelina Vega.
Yeah, I think she'd just slap him in the face. And also, with that said, Thea Trinidad is a great wrestler as well. That's kind of been lost in NXT, and I'm surprised she hasn't gone for any wrestling yet. But, being a manager is great. She doesn't have to get in the ring, but I would like to see her get in some matches. With that said, I don't know who wins this. I think if Andrade Cien Almas loses the match, then him and Zelina Vega are most likely moving up. I don't know if Black can overcome the odds, because when you've got Zelina involved as well, there's a lot of shenanigans that could happen there. She has often come in and interfered with the matches physically as they go on.
True, but that's probably why they introduced Candice LeRae into the proceedings, so that she can run interference. That's
a good point. That could happen. And maybe when, she comes in, maybe Tommaso Ciampa comes in, and then Johnny Wrestling comes in, and they brawl. And then there is another person who I see could get involved in this match, and that would be the Claymore. Drew McIntyre, I know, is healed up and could be looking for revenge against the man that took him out, Andrade Cien Almas. So that's another potential thing that could happen. And War Machine have made their NXT debut on live events, so we could be seeing them. Maybe they might come in and replace Undisputed Era. That would be really cool. But that's NXT Takeover New Orleans. Probably going to be better than WrestleMania.
Indeed.
Often is.
Well, frankly, with the confusing card we've had, it's not going to be hard, honestly. Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of guesswork for us coming in as we start to talk about spoilers for WrestleMania 34, the show of shows, the showcase of the Immortals. It's only a couple of weeks away, and the match card is in flux. As it does seem to be rather often these days.
Yeah.
They book WrestleMania up until the last minute. So, the obvious missing piece on the card, Braun Strowman is on the WrestleMania card as versus Cesaro and Sheamus for the Tag Team Championships.
Yeah, this match annoys me, just because there are so many things about it. First off, Braun Strowman, he was always going to have a slightly lackluster match because, like you said, there's a reason Braun Strowman hasn't had any kind of feud lead into WrestleMania, and that's because they were essentially holding him as a substitute for the main event should Roman Reigns get caught up in a potential steroid scandal again, or if Brock Lesnar decides, you know what, screw it, and just walks out of WrestleMania.
Yes, very likely Brock Lesnar is not going to be back with WWE after Mania. It's something they've been using, actually, on their promotion for the match. And Roman Reigns, as you say, is potentially involved in another drug scandal.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly these sources aren't that credible, but if they last long enough, it could lead to a potential disaster.
It's being investigated. If it does turn out to be true, they have to suspend him. Because of that, Braun Strowman has kind of been, on the edge of WrestleMania. They were going to say they were going to put him into a throwaway match. He was looking like he was going to go for the Intercontinental Championship at one point, but it looks like they didn't go for that. And then they thought maybe a one-on-one match against Elias. That sounded like a really stupid thing to do for like a WrestleMania match. If you're going to have a match that could easily take place on Raw, which a lot of these could do, it just seems weak. And so Braun Strowman came out and destroyed the entire tag division by himself.
Yeah, the entire tag division on Raw. There was a number one contenders match, and Braun Strowman just walked in, smashed everyone, and apparently that means he's number one contendership now.
Because also, as well as not understanding what a tag team is, Braun Strowman is an unstoppable machine, and he made the tag division look weak as it should do. From what I understand, there was going to be a tag team that wasn't a tag team taking on Cesaro and Sheamus at WrestleMania. I thought that was going to be Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy with some sort of unity after the Ultimate Deletion.
That would have been better, honestly, rather than this
sure
mess.
If Bray Wyatt would lose the Ultimate Deletion and become obsolete in the same way that Jeff Hardy was. I know that Jeff Hardy's probably not going to be at WrestleMania because he's in trouble with the law.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that would have been better, because the reason why this match annoys me is that it's WWE showing that, we have no idea what to do with these people, because Raw's tag division has been crap. There's like 3 teams, only one of which they even vaguely take seriously. But then, whilst the Shield was a thing for a briefest of moments, they were making the rest of the tag division look like a joke. They were constantly making cheap jokes at Cesaro and Sheamus, and then the Butterfly came in and distracted them all, so Titus Worldwide went nowhere, despite the fact that they had been developing a bit of a feud with Braun Strowman. And now they can't decide what to do with them, so they thought, we'll just throw Braun Strowman at him and have them take out the bar.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like a Mania match. There hasn't been any build-up to it.
It feels more like a joke match, essentially. I mean, if they had gone with the Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt thing, or taken 2 other stars in order to be a new tag team, that would at least mean something, because that would at least be them acknowledging, okay, we need to actually revitalize this tag team, because the SmackDown's been doing really well in its tag division. That and AJ Styles are the best parts of it right now. And the main reason is they've actually been focusing on building up their team so that even if they don't win, at least they have strong personalities that make them entertaining. Raw just keeps treating its tag team like an afterthought.
I will say potential partners for Braun Strowman. They had talked about Elias. Another person that is in the mix is Rey Mysterio. He was injured, but he will be ready for Mania. Hasn't affected his talks. It's a puzzling matchup, and especially as I'm pretty certain the Bar is going to lose the title for this match.
I think they're going to lose no matter what, because for some reason WWE treats them more like comedic characters, especially when Cesaro had his teeth chipped once, and everyone started using that as his running gag. That's his character right now.
Yeah, I mean, has anyone told him that his persona is a guy who can't talk properly right now? I think thankfully he's moved out of it. But yeah, credit to him. He finished that match with that horrific injury.
Yeah.
There are a couple of matches that aren't on the card that I would like to talk about that I'm looking at here. The biggest one, which I will get to, is John Cena versus The Undertaker.
Yeah.
But I will get to that, because if I talk about that, I'll forget about the other ones I want to speak of.
Fair enough.
So there was Bayley versus Sasha Banks, which I thought was going to be a match. Doesn't look like it's going to be.
Yeah, they're doing something with it. Whether or not it's just going to be something that happens in the middle of another match has yet to be seen. I'm perfectly fine with this feud, except for one aspect, because well, we've already mentioned that it was a long time coming. Their personalities have been clashing on certain pay-per-views. They've been Sasha, they were supposed to be friends, but Sasha was taking pot shots at Bayley, and Bayley now seems to be turning the tables with ducking out the way of tags from Sasha Banks, walking away at ringside and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm very happy with the turnabout of this character. I find it really strange that they're playing it like Bailey's the bad guy.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I'm just going to flat out say it. Sasha Banks is the female Roman Reigns. Like, it's obvious that she calls herself the boss, for crying out loud. And she has been making the most heel moves. She's the heel, but they're so afraid of making her the heel because they see her as a big popular character, so she has to be the face. So it's Bayley, the lovable Bayley. She's
definitely a better heel.
Yeah, so it's Bayley, the lovable, childlike Bayley that's the heel in this situation.
Well, I remember when Sasha Banks got thrown to the outside, I distinctly heard a fan shout at her, "Why are you such a bad friend?"
It's just, that's really my only problem with this. Just, Bayley's not a heel.
But they will probably be lumped into the Women's Battle Royal, which we'll come to talk about in just a minute. Another match that's not on the card, which will be a match, is Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax.
Yeah, this is a feud I'm actually really excited about because Asuka has beaten Alexa Bliss before, so it was always going to be the better match to have her go up against Charlotte. And this feud makes a lot more sense just because Nia Jax was originally friends with Alexa Bliss, but they've actually been building up into a feud that has a lot more of a personal struggle between them. I mean, the way they did it, I don't mind how they did it, it's just the way they executed it was a bit hokey, because essentially what happens is Nia Jax completely decimates a jobber, and then the Titantron starts playing video because they're preparing for Alexa Bliss to have an interview backstage, but Alexa Bliss doesn't realise the camera's on, so she reveals, yeah, I was totally making fun of Nia Jax. I mean, she's such a loser, how could she not? Which was all really great, because that meant Nia Jax stormed in like mad as hell, and now we have Nia Jax being moved into the position of face going up against Alexa Bliss. The only thing
that segment was really nicely done with a kind of like nasty teen girls type moment.
Indeed.
And what I found really funny is, they're just chatting away next to a big microphone.
Yeah.
Which wasn't on, by the way, because Nia Jax pushes it over later and there's no sound.
Yeah. I mean...
they're having this little discussion and they're talking about, oh man, why is Dasha late? Where is she? Like, yeah, why is Dasha late? Why did they set up the camera, turn on the microphone, and then leave it there and go, right, here's our video feed. Okay.
Yeah.
And now we wait for the interviewer. When have they ever done that?
Yeah, like I said, I really like the whole setup for that, but it was a little hooky like that. I also really did like that the interviewer came in and literally spelled it out to them, like, hello, I'm the interviewer. We were setting this up for an interview, but the microphone right there, yes, the one right behind you that I'm pointing out, that was left on, so we've heard everything. Just spelling it out for any audience member that was too dumb to get it. Weak execution aside, I do like where it's going, and I'm actually really excited about this feud now, because, like I said, I'm a storyline guy, and I like that there is also a personal stake in this, that it's finally Nia Jax realising who Alexa Bliss is and going to take her out.
They've had a lot of turmoil in their friendship before. Now it makes perfect sense to move Asuka over to SmackDown and to make room for this rivalry. I suspect something along these lines was guaranteed to Nia Jax, because she did walk out a while ago. She came back very quickly. They sorted it out. I think probably the path to gold was secured. So I predict Nia winning that match when it comes to it.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, some of it could have been that Nia Jax was looking for a break because she had been through a lot recently. We don't actually know the details, but even ignoring that, Nia has been gained a lot of popularity recently. Losses to Asuka aside, they have been doing a good job of selling her as this big force that it takes a lot of power to defeat. So if she does become the new Raw champion, which it would be really nice if she did, I have a feeling she would have a really good run, rather than just being the monster who destroys any woman in her path but can't beat the champion.
Yeah, I struggle to see her as a face. Although they've slightly changed up her entrance recently to make it a bit kinder. They don't have that close-up zoom to her eyes looking intense. But I feel like they just changed her entrance because they're too lazy to do the close-up.
That could easily be that. I mean, it'll be interesting to see where they go from here, because you're right that after this they could easily turn her back to the heel with her running down everyone. I think part of the reason is that they kind of realise oh wait, there are some people who are seen as a role model just because she is using her size very effectively.
Yes.
I think that's also the reason why they had Alexa Bliss go with the straight-up bullying angle as opposed to just going with the "you have failed me for the last time" angle.
Yeah, so the other way they could have booked this would have been the kind of Jack versus the Giant type of thing. But I think because Alexa is such a good heel, you gotta throw her in that heel role.
Yeah, basically, it would be really weird to see her being face now.
And then, so, that other match that has kind of been set up, it's maybe a fan dream match. I don't know. Because if it doesn't happen, John Cena's going to be in the crowd right next to Sasquatch, as he called him, drinking beer.
Yeah, this is a bit of a weird one. Like we said, the whole storyline with John Cena has been, I'm desperate to get into WrestleMania. So he's been using his part-time free agent status to go everywhere and insert himself into every single matches. And now he's essentially treating The Undertaker like he's some kind of magical force. Like, alright, I challenge The Undertaker. Say it with me, audience. I challenge The Undertaker.
Yeah. He alluded to this on a previous promo, but said it wasn't possible, and now he's doing that kind of breaking the fourth wall thing. Oh, I'm not supposed to talk about this, but the Undertaker doesn't want to do it because he wants to keep his legacy. Otherwise, I'll be like you guys. I'll be in the fans, except I'll be much richer and much buffer than all of you. I mean, if they are setting up a WrestleMania match, that's great. John Cena gave a great promo. Like he always does. He's fantastic at it.
Yeah.
I do wonder, however, against all of his points, is The Undertaker too old?
Yeah, that's the main thing. I mean, like you said, we made jokes about the fact that he's essentially begging for a WrestleMania match, but he's always sold himself really well on the promo, so you could get behind him. I mean, there were still one or two lines that felt a bit awkward to me, like when he was telling The Undertaker, you need to get over your own ego, which is like, really, dude? You're using that line in a storyline where you're saying, I have to get onto WrestleMania. It would be kind of cool, but like you, I am sort of worried that The Undertaker is too old. I mean, I know they deliberately addressed this in the promo with John saying, if you were too old, you wouldn't be doing workout videos. I think he's just doing that to stay in shape, guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like this is a first-time meeting either. They've fought many times before. It was said that maybe he should come out as the American Badass Undertaker, but if that's the last time you see The Undertaker, I don't really want to see the Biker Undertaker. I feel like that might happen, though, because Kid Rock is going into the Hall of Fame, which is, you know, the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame, don't get me started.
Yeah.
But if they use that as a reason to bring out the American Badass, and that's his last appearance?
Yeah, the problem is as well, they had the match against Roman Reigns, and John Cena was like, oh, you shouldn't let that one match bring you down. It's like, yeah, but the only good thing that came out of that match was that poignant moment where The Undertaker, like, slowly took off his garb and walked out. I'll have to agree with Lil Karibo that it was one of the first true WrestleMania moments we've had for the last few years.
Yeah, and since then, Undertaker has only appeared once on WWE television on an old-school Raw, giving a very bizarre promo. In his entrance, they didn't even turn the lights out, but they did for Bray Wyatt, which is weird. And he gave just a promo that didn't make any sense.
Yeah, like I said, it was just a promo that they obviously wanted to bring him back for the 25th anniversary, but couldn't think of anything to do with him, so it was literally just him going, I'm The Undertaker. I did things.
Exactly that.
I mean, it's been really weird. The other dream match that they were thinking of was Rey Mysterio, but then he did get injured, which that's a match I'd honestly be more interested to see.
I do believe Rey Mysterio will be fighting fit at the time of Mania. That's why I think he might show up as Braun Strowman's tag partner.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're a few weeks away from recording, so who knows? There could be a surprise twist where Rey Mysterio comes out instead of The Undertaker. But, yeah, if it does turn out to be Undertaker versus John Cena, like you, I'm a bit worried because the American Badass thing, I won't mind. If we were able to leave it that Deadman was defeated in the last WrestleMania, that's that. But at the same time, yeah, he was just not that good physically anymore.
Yeah,
I mean he was stumbling.
We've seen Cena versus Taker before. Like, what we all wanted was Sting versus Taker. It's never going to happen. So, like,
I'm sorry, I thought I misheard that. I think you meant we wanted to see Sting versus Triple H.
No, what I wanted to see is Sting buckle bombed into a corner and have a very disappointing main event at Clash of Champions.
Oh, sigh. But, yeah, from what I saw, the match of Undertaker versus Roman Reigns, that was very clear. I mean, it's even hilarious having John Cena go, why can't you come back and have one last match with us, even though it is a feud with Roman Reigns. John Cena claimed that The Undertaker was, and I quote, a veteran at the end of his career with a bad hip.
Yeah, because he did use that against Roman Reigns.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Another match that isn't on the card, which I am surprised, is the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale.
I think pretty much because people just take it as read that it's going to happen, and after what's happened to Baron Corbin and Mojo Rawley, people have taken it as read that it's going to mean nothing.
A lot of people are not going to be on the WrestleMania card. They do this sort of thing now to sort of say, hey, look, you were at Mania. Except for you, Tyler Breeze, you literally weren't used at all last year. It's just one of those ways to have everyone on. They could fit it onto the pre-show. I think they should do it, especially with the documentary on Andre the Giant coming out. I think this is the right sort of thing. With that, I will talk about this now. There was another Battle Royale announced. And you know what's funny? I was saying, and I don't remember if I said it on podcast before, and it bugs me because I've been saying it for ages, that a lazy man's booking would just make a woman's Battle Royale. And then I coined... You know, they've done the Mae Young Classic. How about the Fabulous Moolah Memorial Battle Royale? And I was joking about this with my brother just as they announced it on Raw. I was just blown away. Like, man, I'm so angry I didn't get this down.
Yeah,
because you know, I totally got that. So I'm honestly not calling it in hindsight. I've been saying it for ages.
Yeah, that's fine.
The only problem here is, like with the Warrior Award, they got a bit of backlash.
Yeah.
This time, a lot of backlash.
Yeah, because this was one of those things where they took one step forward but took two steps back, because they could have chosen literally anyone. They chose the Fabulous Moolah. Yeah,
it made sense to choose the Fabulous Moolah because of a lineage in wrestling. It's just everything outside of that. I won't get into the controversies. Very, very bad news, unfortunately. Does tarnish, you know, the memory. I honestly think, and I might get a bit of flack for this, I honestly think they shouldn't have relented. I know the problem would have been that people would have probably booed the hell out of the match because it was called the Fabulous Moolah Memorial Battle Royale. They did say when they announced that they were changing it to the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royale that the important thing is that it's a Battle Royale for women.
Yeah, I mean... Honestly, I feel like they must have known about the fact they could have chosen literally anyone, and even some people have pointed out, is there any particular reason why it has to be named after wrestlers that are dead? It could have just had someone who was retired, like Trish Stratus, for example.
I know I'll get flack for this, but I honestly think they shouldn't have changed it. They're honouring the Fabulous Moolah as a wrestler, you know, the Hall of Famer. Yes, it is really, really bad what she did outside of that. And, you know, to other women wrestlers, you know, everything that happened there was bad.
Yeah.
But, you know...
I totally get you, and it might have been good to see WWE stand their ground, but it's one of those things where you can't escape from this thing these days. Like, I know everyone keeps making the joke that KFAB is dead, but... Honestly, when wrestlers are bringing up Instagram feeds and Twitter messages into their promos, or you have stuff that wrestlers are instantly suspended after allegations are thrown against them, or they have run-ins of the law, you really can't avoid clashes like that. Like, I totally get the idea of preserving the memory of the person, but if they then went and became a complete douche after that, you know...
Yeah, I mean, at least they're still doing the match.
Yeah.
My worry is as well, my second point, with them relenting to the fan pressure here, is that just going to mean that WrestleMania is going to be full of, like, toxic crowd chants because, you know, we got our way here, let's just chant Rusev Day for the whole of WrestleMania, and then Rusev will be at the next WrestleMania. You know, this happened with the Daniel Bryan chants at the Royal Rumble, which made them almost unwatchable.
unfortunately, I have a feeling the toxic crowd shots are going to happen either way. I think the only reason they've done this, it's kind of like, because I've noticed now that the only time WWE's really relented on things is when it could cause them potential bad and controversy, because they did the same with the Money in the Bank match, where straight afterwards they relented and had it taken away from Carmella and had them forced to do it all over again to kind of respond to the fact that James Ellsworth won it. So I think
in that sense, we got another Women's in the Bank ladder match.
Yeah, so they were trying to sell this as a progressive mood, and if it was booed the hell out of it, that would just shoot them up badly. So I don't think they're going to cave in future, only if it's going to make them look progressively bad, is the best way I can describe it. It's like how they still haven't acknowledged the Rusev Day chance yet. Rusev, he was just like one match away from the pre-show at Fastlane, for crying out loud.
Yeah. For the Battle Royals, if you had to pick a competitor for the men's and the women's, who would you pick?
I have a horrible feeling that Rusev was probably going to get shoved into the men's one, so I would say he would probably do it, but...
That's a good pick.
For the women's, that's interesting. It depends on whether they make Sasha Banks versus Bayley an actual match or throw them in here, in which case... If they do throw those two in here, I would say Sasha Banks. If they don't, I would have to say either Becky Lynch or Sonya Deville.
Yep, those are all good picks. I think Sasha Banks is actually a very good pick, now I think about it. Boy, I mean, I know I asked the question, but I really don't know. For the men's, I'm going to go with Mojo Rawley again.
The two-time Andre Giant winner is on the pre-show.
I'm just looking over at the US title match, and I'm seeing that Jinder Mahal is not on it. He got really close last year, and I remember thinking, wow, this is his moment. At least he had that, and then he had a championship run after that. So I'm going to pick Jinder Mahal in the Battle Royale. Hopefully. And then
either that or one of the Singh brothers.
Well, there's only one Singh brother at the moment. The other one is learning to walk again. For the women's, I'm going to pick who I want to win, and that's Kairi Sane. Whether that's going to happen, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's who I want to win.
If she gets promoted, that would actually be a really good spot for her.
I saw her image used in the promotion for the Battle Royale, because it's open to Raw, SmackDown, and NXT.
Oh, okay.
So I'm pretty sure she's going to be in there.
Yeah.
So she's my hopeful pick to win.
In that case, then maybe Ember Moon as well, if she's getting moved out to the roster.
Yeah, that's a good call. I think her image might have been in the promo as well. You know, I just hope they haven't made that golden trophy.
Oh God! They just hand over the trophy and it's got a sack over it.
You know, on that discussion, I think they made a statue of Hulk Hogan. Because I can't remember who they brought out instead. Was it Bruno Sammartellus? Whoever it was, they were gonna have Hulk Hogan, and I'm pretty sure they might have made the statue before his controversy.
Oh dear!
And now he's not. He's technically not even in the Hall of Fame.
Oh wow!
From that, I'll just move from down to up the card for matches that are written down at this time. Do remember our date of recording, and you know, even though we're only a couple of weeks away from WrestleMania, we don't even know what the card's going to look like properly.
Yeah, things can change and probably will.
One match that was announced on SmackDown that almost certainly will be different is Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn.
Yeah, this is all part of the big ongoing storyline, which I did praise during the first podcast, and now my opinion of the storyline has been slowly going downhill the longer and longer it's dragged out.
Yeah. Shane McMahon came onto SmackDown, said he was leaving indefinitely. It's really funny because he was spotted at Raw in the gorilla position when Roman Reigns came out to confront Vince McMahon over stuff that we'll talk about later. Kevin Owens tweeted like, "Oh, it's nice of you to be sitting next to your daddy on Raw whilst you know, Daniel Bryan is running your show and your live events." But this match, the one-on-one for Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn is definitely not going to be happening. Shane is going to be in there somewhere, but it sounds like Shane is going to be gone after Mania.
Yeah, I mean, one of the rumours as well is that they'll try to get Daniel Bryan in the middle of this match as well, but
if Daniel Bryan has been cleared, they've kept it secret. So maybe what they might do is have, I'm just shooting here, they could have Shane McMahon tagging with Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and then Daniel Bryan just steps away from the apron when he's going to be tagged.
Oh, that could easily be something that happens, but yeah, basically to bring you guys up to speed who haven't been keeping up, what happened was Shane McMahon stepped into the ring, announced that he was going to leave indefinitely, freely admitted that, yes, I haven't been the greatest commissioner as of late, but the last act I'll do is have Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. And then both of them came out to say, what the hell? And Shane was like, what? I gave you a match at WrestleMania. You should be happy. And they were like, well, yeah, that's because you loved seeing the two of us kick the crap out of each other. And then they proceeded to brutalize Shane McMahon, including one sequence where Kevin Owens powerbombed Shane McMahon into, what was it, like a pile of crates in here?
I don't know what it was, but it looked like it hurt.
Yeah.
Don't know where that match is going. Shane McMahon's going to be involved somehow.
Yeah.
He'll probably elbow drop someone through an announce table from the inside to the outside.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Like, I don't know if it's going to be, whether, like you said, it's going to be a tag team with the two of them fractured over this, or whether it's going to be a freeway with Daniel Bryan stepping up for Shane, and then Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn fighting each other, because this is the thing, the storyline has gone on way too long, and it's had way too many conflicting elements in it, because initially, it was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn going against Shane McMahon because they felt they'd been screwed over by the system one too many times. But then Shane McMahon kept proving them right, so that system kept dragging on and on and on. Then it was supposedly Shane McMahon being mad at them for interfering with Survivor Series, which everyone else has forgotten about now. Then you are adding Shane McMahon feuding with Daniel Bryan and acting like he was on their side, even though Daniel Bryan made it very clear that they weren't. And then Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn started bickering with each other. It's now a complete and utter mess, and I just want it to end, frankly.
Yeah, it's incredibly convoluted. I don't know for sure if Daniel Bryan will be wrestling. I'd probably say no, but Shane McMahon's going to be in there somewhere. It's not going to be, as is written down there, a singles match. If it is, that's boring.
Yeah,
Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. We've seen that match a lot, and for that to be, like I said before, just a match you could have at Raw on Mania is not what you want.
Yeah, if Daniel Bryan's not going to be involved, then it's probably going to be Shane McMahon fighting the two of them in a freeway, or he could add some ridiculous stipulation to it, like a cage match or a ladder match or whatever, and then he's going to find a way to do some ridiculous spot where he leaps off a tall thing.
Yes. Next up, we have Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Mixed tag team match.
Yeah, barring some bizarre ego trip by Triple H, I would say that Ronda and Kurt Angle win.
Yeah, that's what makes sense, because Kurt Angle is most likely losing his position after Mania because of what's transpired. We have spoken of the build-up of this match before. One thing that I hope is that they don't go for the mixed match challenge rules, because this is a pay-per-view. There's no reason why Ronda can't take a bump from Triple H or Triple H take a bump from Ronda. You know.
Plus,
you've got a UFC star in there.
Plus, Ronda has thrown Triple H through a table.
Yes, with ease.
WWE called it a Samoan drop, but apparently it's based on a judo move. She has performed what was apparently meant to be her finisher on Stephanie McMahon as well. So
yeah, she mentioned the name of the move on Twitter, although I forget it.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Either way, she's been very promising. Yeah, this will be a good opening match for her. Like I said, what happens here depends on whether Ronda's going to be... what happens after this match, whether Stephanie McMahon and Ronda are going to continue their rivalry, or whether Ronda's going to be the new Brock Lesnar, just coming in every once in a while to spice up a pay-per-view. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if she's going to be every week. She's got a lot of other commitments going on. Next match up the card, we have the tournament final for the vacant and probably cursed WWE Cruiserweight Championship.
It's in better hands now, thankfully.
Yes. Whoever will gain the championship at the end of this, the bracket hasn't been entirely decided yet. Cedric Alexander is a lock, as he should be. because, he already had number one contendership and then he's put into this tournament. So that's a bit crazy. It should have been whoever wins the tournament faces Cedric Alexander, but whatever. He's made it to the finals. And then the next spot is yet to be decided between Drew Gulak and Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali's been killing it with his promos. I like his out in the streets promos. It kind of reminds me of the Punisher with his how he's doing it. Except I expect Drew Gulak is going to be winning this one, because that way we have a face versus a heel. And Drew Gulak has been doing some good work recently with his character becoming more intense. He can only become that much more intense before it becomes a red mist of hate.
Yeah.
Like they keep saying, "Oh man, he's even more intense. Oh, he's turned into a series of blades that spin around and cut his enemy to shreds. He's that intense." He can't get that much more intense.
I mean, I would agree with you, but I have heard some spoilers say that it is actually going to be Mustafa Ali, but those plans could easily change. But yeah.
That is cool. I mean, we will find out on Tuesday.
Yeah. I'll be honestly fine either way, because I really like both wrestlers, but I haven't seen Mustafa Ali's promos. I really need to change that, but I have freaking loved his matches and the highlights from what I've seen. Like, oh my god, some of the stuff he's been doing, his matches have been incredible all this tournament.
Yeah, and his finishing move, which was dubbed the 054 by Austin Aries before he left the company, the reverse 450 is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I still stand by my prediction. After the match, Rockstar Spud will insert himself into the title picture. I think it's going to happen. Why would you have Rockstar Spud, who is, a wrestler, not use him as a wrestler? It's the same thing I feel about Thea Trinidad. Like, we'll eventually get into action. I think the Mania swerve is probably where, especially if you want to put some interest into 205 Live.
Yeah,
and like I said earlier, they're going to have the tag titles come in after Mania as well.
Yeah, you definitely do need that kind of swerve to keep the interest in 205 Live going, because they put on some great matches, but WWE does need storylines and feuds in order to keep going. I mean, it will be a great match either way, especially with the way they've been booking it recently. Whoever it's going to be, I can imagine Cedric Alexander winning, and then, like you said, some form of swerve happens.
Then we have the Raw Tag Title match, which we will just move on for, because that's in flux.
Yeah.
You know what's not on here as well? It's another one that is not currently on the card, is a SmackDown Tag Title. And that's in flux.
Yeah, I do have a theory about that, but first off, just to quickly mention the Raw Strowman win, sadly. The second, before Fastlane, we had a promo or two where the New Day and the Usos were laying into each other, like just full-on rekindling their rivalry, bringing up old wounds, laying down the smack on each other with their brilliant mic skills.
Yeah, this was really great, actually, because the Usos hark to the fact that, in their entire time in WWE, they haven't had a main card WrestleMania match, to which the New Day was saying that they'd been tearing it up. They'd been taking their spot for the last 5 years. And when they won this match, they would be the 5-time WWE Tag Team Champions of SmackDown.
Indeed. But then, as we mentioned, when they got to their pay-per-view at Fastlane, the Bludgeon Brothers turned up and wrecked their team. I'm wondering if the angle they're going here is not so much for the championships. I mean, the Bludgeon Brothers could take the championships, but the idea I'm thinking of is that maybe they're trying to present the Bludgeon Brothers as the one enemy that would make the Usos and the New Day team up. So the WrestleMania event is the combination of their teams versus the Bludgeon Brothers.
Yeah, that could work. I mean, they've kind of already done that on SmackDown, but they got crushed.
Yeah.
That was one Uso and Big E. So it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I imagine the Bludgeon Brothers would still be up for like a 5-on-2 handicap match.
Yeah.
If it came down to it. We'll see. No idea where that's going, because it's not. We're a couple of weeks away from Mania, and half the card we don't know what it's going to be.
I know, it's really sad.
It's felt like this before, but not really this bad.
Yeah, it's really bad this year. I mean, I get that there have been injuries, but for the love of God.
Been injuries. I mean, otherwise, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose might be going for the Raw Tag Team Championships, and Braun Strowman, like we've said before, has been put in flux in case of mess on the main event. The next match is Charlotte Flair versus Asuka for
Ooh.
the SmackDown Women's Championship. It makes perfect sense when you think about it. To be the woman, you got to beat the woman. I'm going to say that nobody is ready for Asuka.
Yeah.
I think Asuka's going to win.
Yeah, I would say Asuka as well. I mean, it would be... if anyone was going to break the streak, Charlotte would be a good choice, but...
Yeah. And if there was any time to break the streak, it would be at WrestleMania.
Indeed.
But I feel like we might... Because this is Asuka's first title opportunity in the main roster. I feel like she's going to take the title, and she's probably going to hold on to it until next WrestleMania, where Ronda Rousey or someone is going to take it.
Yeah, because here's the thing. The other thing that we're considering is who actually needs this right now. And I think if Charlotte wins, okay, it's another day of the champion, and it's yet another opponent she's defeated. If Asuka wins, that's going to give the SmackDown Women's Division the shake-up it so desperately needs. Because the heels SmackDown has right now are Natalya, Carmella, and the Riot Squad. Carmella is, for some reason, sitting on her Money in the Bank briefcase and not using it. The Riot Squad are just punching bags currently, which is a complete waste of Ruby Riot for the record. And Natalya, I don't know what they're doing with her. They're flip-flopping their minds on whether she is a cowardly heel who's not good in a fight or one of the strongest wrestlers in the company.
You know, another thing is that I thought we'd be getting a 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen match at WrestleMania, and that hasn't transpired. Because they set up for it on the Mae Young Classic. Another thing I neglected to mention as well is that Money in the Bank briefcase held by Carmella, I think it's going to get cashed in potentially in the Raw Women's Championship.
That would make sense. It could happen in either championship, but that would make sense to, for an actual big WrestleMania moment. And if you're not going to use the Money in the Bank case here, then what the hell are you doing with it, girl?
Yeah, exactly. It's probably going to be used at Mania. I wonder if it's going to be used to turn a two-way into a triple threat. We shall see. But I suspect the best use of it is immediately after a grueling contest. I think Asuka's going to win the championship match. Next up, we have Randy Orton versus Bobby Roode. Surprised not to see Jinder in this match. Maybe he will be announced. As it stands on paper right there, I see Randy Orton winning.
Yeah,
but
probably.
I know that Randy Orton is going to be a part-timer moving forward.
Like, it could easily be his one last big victory before, like you said, he does turn part-time. But, yeah, honestly, the United States Championship, they really have been treating it like a throwaway ever since the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby Roode should win this. His stock is only diminishing from this rivalry.
Yeah, I mean, it's really weird that of all the people, Jinder Mahal's looking the best because he's reminding everyone, hi, I'm still a good, strong heel. So.
Yeah, and I want to see Jinder Mahal in this match as well. Next up, we have the Intercontinental Championship. The Miz, who is the title, versus Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. Both Seth Rollins and Finn Balor beat The Miz on an everyone in the roster versus The Miz match to gain this opportunity, even though Finn Balor beat The Miz after Seth Rollins had already beaten him.
And thus this match is called the We've Got to Put These Guys Somewhere championship match.
Exactly. I think Seth Rollins was probably destined for the tag title, but they've moved him sort of up to the mid-tier title. I'd be surprised if Seth Rollins doesn't win this.
Yeah.
Although I really like The Miz to retain, I think Seth Rollins is on the cover of the game. You got to be doing something with him.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I can see all these things. I would like Finn Balor to get more credit by winning him, because ever since that unfortunate Bray Wyatt storyline and its quick abortion, he has been suffering a lot recently.
Yeah, I feel like they've lost faith in Finn Balor. He's good for merchandise. It's just that one injury. I mean, it was so badly timed. He's such a good run. He got a clean win over Roman Reigns, got the Universal title, and I feel like he'll just always be saying, I was the first Universal Champion. And I just feel like they have no faith in him because he's small.
Yeah. And yeah, The Miz has been having a good run, but it's probably going to go to Seth Rollins. I mean, the only other thing they could do after that would be having Seth Rollins challenge Roman Reigns for his title. Assuming he beats... Oh, who am I kidding? He's going to beat Brock Lesnar, so...
He's definitely going to beat Brock Lesnar, but we'll come to that.
Yeah.
The other thing is The Miz Tarad. This is a triple threat, so they could easily be in the fight the whole match. If they're not, again, I'll be confused. You could just grab a chair. It's a triple threat match.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, The Miz will be fine regardless of what happens, because he's at that point where his promo skills are so good and he has the whole Miz TV thing going on, so he'll be able to carry on without it. I think Finn Balor's the one who needs it the most, but Seth Rollins is probably going to win, you're right.
Yes. Next up, we have the dream match of AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Rockstar, as he's known. And one awkward time on his entrance where Rockstar just flashes past the screen in red lettering for no apparent reason. I'm not really sure why they did that. They're really high on doing that kind of Facebook style thing with having text go on the screen.
Yeah, and I hate every second of it.
And yet they're not really promoting the Mixed Match Challenge anymore because of low ratings.
Oh, wow.
They have adopted the art style of Facebook, which looks really cheap on the big stage.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, Shinsuke Nakamura has been saying that he's going to win the match with a knee to the face. That's all he's been doing on his promos. Just saying, I'm going to knee you in the face at WrestleMania. I want AJ Styles to win this match. Either way, it's going to be an amazing match.
Yeah.
A very technically sound match. I feel like it's probably Shinsuke's time.
Yeah, I think that as well. I mean, AJ's had a great run. It would be really cool for Shinsuke to have his time, though. That's it, because he's been really going up and down all over the card recently, so...
And then you have what they normally refer to as the main title if it's on Raw, even though nobody's seen it forever. We have Brock Lesnar, the champion of the entire universe, with Paul Heyman versus Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And this match has been really well booked to this point. You've had Brock Lesnar, first of all, in a live event, win a match in under a minute. Just a couple of seconds, deliberately done. It was a match against Kane, and then the fans tweet it out, and then you start getting the fans like, I paid money to see Brock Lesnar, and he was there for less than a minute. Really good idea. Slightly detrimental to the fans, but what do they care?
Yeah.
It's not like they booked him for Raw for the last couple of weeks. He hasn't showed up. Oh wait, they booked him for Raw for the last couple of weeks. At first, I was fooled. Like everyone else, because Brock Lesnar was at Elimination Chamber with Dana White, posing for pictures and all that, and then, Raw the next day he doesn't show up.
Yeah.
Surprising. I was fooled. I thought maybe contract negotiations had not been going so well, but yep, either they turned it into a work or it was a work all along. I suspect it was a work all along. Really working well to make the fans slightly turn on Brock Lesnar, thinking he doesn't care about WWE. He's just going to go back to UFC.
Yeah. Credit where it's due. They also given Roman Reigns some good promos as well. I do kind of like this side of Roman Reigns when they use him. Kind of like what they had in his feud with John Cena. The idea that he's a wrestler's wrestler, if that makes any sense. He hates the idea of entitled champions who only ever show up a couple of hours and they go into TV interviews.
Yeah, I mean, Roman Reigns is wrestling every day. I mean, the fact the fans still boo him is crazy. I'm not that fan of the big push, but the wrestler, credit to him.
Yeah.
His promo was a little, hilarious. Where the guys in the back don't want me to talk about this, and yet nobody's shutting off my mic.
Yeah.
It sounded pretty real, though. He's just not showing up because he doesn't want to be here.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably that Roman is able to channel that bit of his character into him. I mean, I've heard an interview with him recently that whilst they haven't given him license to be heel, he says, I am glad that now I can use those bits of my character in there, because I think when he was being pushed as the superhero and saying stuff like suffering succotash, that was when he was really suffering.
I mean, he's a natural heel. It still baffles me that he hasn't gone down that route. What really ruined it for me is when Brock didn't show up the next week. And, they advertised him again. He didn't show up. There was another kind of engineered promo. This time it was even more so, with Vince McMahon getting involved.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was really the only problem I had with this. I was really liking this. When the next week they had Paul Heyman running Roman down, and then Roman coming out saying, the fans want us for Brock to show up. But then there was another one where Kurt Angle says, I'm sorry, Brock's not going to be there. Then Roman comes out, and at first he raised the good points of, if we didn't show up for work, at best we'd be fined, at worst we'd lose our jobs. But then he pushes it too far, because he then says the one line that would break the entire promo, which is, I know the reason why, because Brock is Vince's boy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Really?
I mean, he also threw it out to the crowd saying, if you didn't show up for work, you'd be fired. I'm like, oh yeah, cheers for letting us know. You know, you're in a much better job than us.
I mean, but yeah, that whole Vince's boy thing. This isn't a stone in glass houses situation. This is a boulder you're throwing through the wall, you know?
Yeah. The weird thing is, he says that, you know, it's people in the crowd, you'll be fired if you didn't show up for work. And then he says, I'm tired of being disrespected by Vince. Like, you know, a lot of us feel disrespected by our bosses. But you don't go to your boss and shout in his face. That is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's also after all this work you've done, the last thing you want to remind people of is the connection between Roman and Vince McMahon, because we all know why Roman's here. That's why they were booing him. Even after all the great work Roman has done to... Like I said, all credit to him. Roman has gone a lot better on promos, and he's been working hard to try and get himself at least so that the reaction is actually more divisive rather than just straight up boos. But you do not remind people of the connection to Vince McMahon, because you are never going to convince people that Roman Reigns is this figure against authority. You know?
Yeah, exactly, and They tried to kind of turn it that way by having him go backstage, have an argument seemingly with Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon coming out and echoing The Rock's words saying that Roman Reigns needs to shut his mouth and know his role, and thus he'd been suspended next week, which means he's definitely showing up next week. And that he guarantees Brock Lesnar will be there next week, which means Brock Lesnar definitely won't be there next week.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be the, do you know what would piss off the crowd? Have him not there again.
Yeah, and it's also the fact that set up for it would have been fine, except for some reason Vince McMahon, who was made a massive reputation of being the angry boss, just delivers like the calmest promo going, Brock Lesnar, he is a divisive man, but he'll be there and he works hard. And
there were some crowd chants as well of, we can't hear you.
Yeah, and then just kind of quietly tacks on the end, oh, by the way, Roman Reigns has been temporarily suspended, although it is still happening, the match.
What makes me laugh is how civil Roman Reigns and Vince McMahon were, despite the fact that Roman Reigns punched Vince in the face like a little while ago. Like, and I remember that, and Vince being, you know, a 70-year-old man, punched in the face by Roman Reigns. Yeah, good job, buddy.
Yeah.
You'd probably go, wouldn't you all want to punch your boss in the face?
Yeah, it's really frustrating because, yeah, like you said, they were booking it really well, and they were having this really great angle for Roman, and now we don't know how the suspension angle is going to play out, but yeah, I think they need to back off from the whole Brock is Vince's golden boy and just get back to the idea that Roman hates Brock as an entitled guy. Because, you know, that was honestly the best angle for Roman. Not having him be a superhero, but be this kind of wrestler's wrestler who just wants to have a good fight, look out for everyone in the locker room, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we all know that Roman Reigns is going to win this match. Roman has been set up for this match for years.
Yeah.
And, he's definitely taken the title away, and there's a lot of uncertainty whether Brock will re-sign. I know that Triple H is handling the negotiations instead of Vince this time round. I know he brings in a lot of dollar and a lot of viewers. I don't think we need Brock Lesnar in WWE. We should be building up new stars.
Yeah, I mean, that is something WWE has had a lot of problems with as of late. Plus, there have been a lot of people saying, oh, they'd be crazy to get rid of Brock Lesnar. There's so many things you could do with him. And I'm like, really? Because who else is Brock going to challenge at this point? I mean, we've already seen him in this whole build-up. We've seen him take on Braun Strowman. We've seen him take on Kane. And honestly, I don't know what interesting storyline you can get out of him.
And we've got to take the title off him as well, because he's holding it hostage. And it can't be defended on Raw. It can't be defended on pay-per-views, because you have pay-per-views where the main event is a number one contendership match. You know, they want to make Roman Reigns the Stone Cold of this generation, which is one of those sort of comparisons I really hate.
Yeah,
it's like when Shawn Michaels says to AJ Styles. Was it AJ Styles who said it to? Well, Shawn Michaels said it to somebody. You're the Shawn Michaels of this generation. Like, nobody says that. You say that.
Yeah.
People shouldn't be trying to be the superstar of the past. They should be their own superstar.
Yeah, exactly. They should be trying to forge their own identity and all that. It's exactly why we were talking about this last time. The idea of the old Attitude Era stars come back and own everybody. That's not the way you should be doing this, really.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest Roman Reigns fan. He's a great wrestler, but he's definitely winning this match, and he's definitely taking the title out of WrestleMania, and then hopefully to be defended on Raw and to show up on some pay-per-views.
Yeah.
The new Stone Cold of his generation.
Yeah, hopefully it will be better things for Roman, and the title scene, like you say, will be more active, and honestly, the only thing I care about is where Paul Heyman is going to go after this. Like, who is he going to advocate for next?
Yeah, there's a lot of potential candidates, but really, only people that need him should have him. You shouldn't drop him to someone like Braun Strowman, because Braun Strowman can promo for himself. Samoa Joe can promo for himself. He's another guy that is not on the Mania card, actually, so if he is, he could be my pick for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale, actually. Samoa Joe just came to mind.
That is true. I mean, the only other thing I can suggest... I mean, I don't know whether he should win that, because speaking of cursed titles, but...
Oh, yeah.
I actually think that maybe... It might seem odd, but maybe having him in the women's division would drum some interest, especially for Asuka, who... she's been okay on promos, but they have been a bit drawn out in recent years.
I think we talked about this previously, that there were rumours that he was going to represent Asuka at one point. So that'd be interesting. Certainly Asuka, because of the language barrier, does need help on the promos.
The other rumour I've heard is that he's going to represent Ronda Rousey, which I guess would make sense, one UFC person to another, but yeah, I think she'd be okay.
That does make sense, because she is kind of weak on the promos.
Maybe a weak's not the right word, but yeah, I would say she's still new to this whole thing, so...
Paul Heyman is fantastic on promos, so whoever he's with, he will enhance.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to seeing who his next guy or gal is, but...
It's kind of funny that after talking about the Universal title match, we're more concerned on where does Paul Heyman go.
Well, it's like you said, Roman Reigns, he's... when he has the Universal Champion, he's going to have no problems. Like, even if he loses it to, say, The Miz or to Seth Rollins, he's still going to be part of the big push, because they have decided that he's the Hulk Hogan, Steve Cold figure, like, the protagonist, essentially.
Yep. Well, basically, you're all going to have to eat your Roman Reigns, and you're all going to have to enjoy it, because it's happening.
Yeah, so, I mean, ideally, we would want a bit of a shake-up so it becomes more of an ensemble, not the Roman Reigns show, but it's the way WWE works at this point, unless maybe Vince McMahon decides to step down and focus on his football league.
Which is maybe happening, we don't know. But with the future uncertain, except for Roman Reigns winning that match. That's it for the Flip the Mic podcast.
Indeed.
I've been MVL Gaming. We've had the Jonin Monkey. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time on the Flip the Mic podcast.
See you around.